The fence went up at 6 in the morning, metallic clangs jolting me awake while diesel exhaust from the post-hole digger choked out the smell of my coffee. 43 feet into my land, through my dead father's pecan grove, blocking the cattle road, trapping 14 pregnant heifers behind 8 feet of chain link, and Delilah Pritchard, HOA president from the luxury homes next door, sat in her golf cart watching through designer sunglasses, sipping iced Starbucks, waving at me, actually waving. I'm Garrett Hollins, county surveyor for 26 years, third-generation rancher. I've approved every boundary survey in this county, including the one she just violated. What she didn't know? I don't just draw property lines. I know every loophole, every code, every pressure point in the system. And I was about to teach her exactly what happens when you steal from the man who built the map. Ever dealt with an HOA nightmare? Drop your story. Where are you watching from? Here's what you need to know about my ranch, and the woman who thought she could take it. My grandfather built the main house in 1891 from limestone he pulled out of the creek bed himself. My father, Big Jim, expanded it to 240 acres of cattle, pecans, and a spring that's run clear since before anyone bothered recording such things. When he passed 2 years ago, he left me a handwritten note tucked in his survey transit case. Don't let anyone take this. I'm trying, old man. My wife, Mary Ann, died 4 years back. Cancer bills left me $78,000 in the hole, but the ranch still smells like sweet feed every morning, and my truck's leather seat still creaks the same way it did when she'd ride shotgun. Her Bible's in the console. I keep meaning to move it. My daughter Natalie's an environmental lawyer up in Denver. Makes me proud, even if she thinks I should sell and move to a condo. Not happening. I've been county surveyor for 26 years. If there's a property line in this county, I've measured it. If there's a plat, I've stamped it. I know land law like some guys know football stats. 18 months ago, Pinnacle Properties bought the wheat fields next door. Wanted to build 72 luxury homes. Sunset Ridge Estates. Their survey crossed my desk. I reviewed every line, flagged 2 corrections, they fixed them, I approved. 50-foot buffer between their houses and my fence. Professional, clean, done. Then Delilah Pritchard arrived. $680,000 for the biggest house in the development, which is hilarious because the median home price in our county is $190,000. She rolled in from Houston with her yoga mat, platinum highlights, and the kind of oversized sunglasses that cost more than my truck payment. 3 months later, she was HOA president. The previous guy resigned after she reported him for having his trash cans visible from the street for, and I'm not making this up, 11 minutes past collection time. That's when I became her project. First complaint, my cattle were too loud. Disrupting her sunrise meditation. County dismissed it. We've had ranches here since 1870-something. Cows moo. That's not breaking news. Second move. Certified letters demanding I relocate my industrial livestock operations 500 feet from the property line. I filed them in my circular cabinet, the trash can. Then she started attending county commission meetings. Never said my name, but talked about outdated agricultural practices and property value concerns and dust from rural operations affecting our community's respiratory health. Lady, it's Texas. If you can't handle dust, maybe don't move next to a ranch. I noticed new survey stakes along our boundary. Wrong color, wrong style, not from the original survey. Should have paid attention. 3 weeks before the fence, a permit application hit my desk. Fence installation, Sunset Ridge HOA. Routine. I stamped it. Brenda, my assistant, squinted at the address. Isn't that your neighbor? I shrugged. System works the same for everyone. Famous last words. The morning the fence went up, the crew foreman, nervous kid, maybe 30, showed me a survey map, stamped by Apex Survey Solutions. Never heard of them. The property line showed my land as theirs. Stop work, I said. This contradicts county records. Delilah appeared. Her perfume arrived 3 seconds before she did. Something French and expensive and way too much. Oh, Garrett. That smile. Like a yoga instructor about to explain why you're doing the pose wrong. Surely you understand property lines. This is our land. Your father's old fence was always wrong. My jaw tightened. Our survey is certified, she continued. Perhaps your records are outdated. The crew kept working. Contract signed. Money paid. By 4 p.m. the fence was done. By 5 I found the padlock. 14 cattle trapped on the wrong side. 3 pregnant heifers. Her text at 5:47. Please remove your animals from HOA common area within 72 hours or we'll charge impound fees. I sat in my truck at sunset, looking at that fence slicing through Grandpa's pecan grove. Big Jim's voice. When someone cheats, document everything, then bury them in facts. I picked up my phone and started shooting photos. Game on. I drove straight to the county office. pulled the original plat from 18 months ago, spread it across my desk next to the photos I'd just taken. The fence was 35 to 45 feet over the legal property line, not inches, feet. I called our county attorney, Douglas Raines, 60-something, cautious as a bomb technician, terrified of lawsuits. Douglas, I need a cease and desist sent to Sunset Ridge HOA. They built a fence on my property. Pause. You're sure? I'm the county surveyor, Douglas. Yes, I'm sure. File a formal complaint. I'll draft the letter, but it'll take 48 hours to process. They finished the fence in 8 hours. That's the timeline, Garrett. Sorry. I filed the complaint. Got an incident number. Real helpful when your cattle are locked behind an illegal fence. By the time I got back to the ranch, the sun was setting orange behind that chain link. I counted the pecan trees on the wrong side. 22, some over 80 years old. I cut the padlock with bolt cutters. My property, my right. Moved the cattle back through. They were anxious. Cows are creatures of habit, and this wasn't their routine. The pregnant heifers kept looking back at the fence like it might chase them. Next morning, 6 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Delilah. Vandalism of HOA property will be reported to police. Replace the lock immediately. I didn't respond. Seemed smarter to let my lawyer do the talking. Except I didn't have a lawyer yet. By noon, the gate was welded shut. Not padlocked. Welded. Steel bead running along the latch, still warm when I touched it. And here's the beautiful part. New signs along the fence. No trespassing, Holland's property. She'd made signs with my name and posted them facing her subdivision. Made me look like the territorial nutcase. If I wasn't so angry, I'd have been impressed. My phone rang. Brenda, you need to see this. I drove back to the office. She'd pulled up the local newspaper website. Headline, Property Dispute Erupts Between Rancher and Homeowners Association. The article quoted Delilah extensively. We're simply trying to protect our community. Mr. Hollins has been unwilling to cooperate with basic boundary clarifications. Basic boundary clarifications, like I was arguing about 3 inches instead of 43 feet. The article mentioned my position as county surveyor once, buried in paragraph 7. Made it sound like a conflict of interest instead of proof I knew what I was talking about. Comment section was filling up. Sunset Ridge residents calling me a bully. One genius suggested, maybe it's time for these old ranches to make way for progress. Progress. That's what we call stealing now. Brenda brought me burnt coffee from the office pot. What are you going to do? Hire a lawyer. Lucinda Tate works out of a converted house downtown, solo practitioner, former county prosecutor, fights like a cornered badger. Her office smelled like old law books and burnt coffee. She listened, reviewed my documents, leaned back. This is blatant, she said. But proving fraud takes time. They're counting on you going broke first. How much time? 8 to 12 months. 15 to 25,000 in legal fees. My savings had 11,000. She saw my face. I'll work with you on payments, but Garrett, they have money. They can stall, file motions, drag this out until you can't afford to fight. So I lose? I didn't say that. I said it takes time, which means we need to be smarter. She pulled out a yellow legal pad. I remembered something my father told me. In land disputes, possession is 9/10 of the law until someone proves otherwise. Delilah just took 9/10 of my 43 feet, and I had to spend months proving she was wrong. The system rewards the thief while the victim pays attorneys. That night, I walked the fence line with a flashlight. Coyotes howled beyond the property. I found something interesting. The survey markers supposedly marking the property line were 6 inches above ground. Standard practice is flush with earth or below. I dug around one with my pocket knife. Marker was set in concrete, like a fence post. These weren't professional survey markers. These were planted recently. I took photos, close-ups, measurements, sent them to Lucinda. She texted back at 11 p.m. This is gold, but we need the surveyor who supposedly set these to testify they didn't. I called Apex Survey Solutions the next morning. Disconnected number. Searched online. Company dissolved 4 months ago. Owner Marcus Teague relocated to Arizona. No forwarding contact. Either Delilah got incredibly unlucky with her surveyor going out of business, or someone was covering tracks. I was betting on option 2. Now I had proof she'd manufactured evidence. Problem was, I needed more than photos of concrete buckets to prove fraud in court. I needed to know who planted those markers, who created that fake survey, and how deep this went. My phone buzzed. Email from County HR. Subject line, ethics complaint filed. Response required. Delilah was coming for my job now. The ethics complaint landed 3 days after the fence went up. Delilah filed it with county HR, claiming I'd abused my position by approving my own boundary survey, which was false. I'd recused myself and my assistant surveyor had approved it. But the accusation was public record now. And in small-town politics, accusations stick longer than facts. County Judge Martinez called me into his office. 60 years old, politician to his bones, terrified of bad press. "Garrett, I've known you 20 years. I don't believe this, but it looks bad." He tapped the complaint on his desk. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry wasps. "Consider taking temporary leave until this resolves. I've done nothing wrong. Then keep your head down," which is politician speak for "you're on your own." I walked out knowing my reputation was bleeding. Meanwhile, Delilah hired an attorney, Whitman and Associates, big Dallas firm, $450 an hour. They filed a countersuit claiming my original survey was negligent, ranch operations constituted a private nuisance, and demanding $125,000 in damages for mental distress and property devaluation. Mental distress from cows. I'd love to see that expert witness testimony. The local newspaper ran another story. Photo of Delilah looking concerned in front of her house, arms crossed, designer sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. The caption called it a David versus Goliath property battle. Except in this version, the HOA was David, and I was the giant stomping on peaceful homeowners. Funny how that works. Town Facebook erupted. Sunset Ridge residents flooded comments defending Delilah, attacking backwards ranchers who didn't understand progress. A few longtime neighbors supported me quietly, brought casseroles, offered to help move cattle, but most stayed silent. Nobody wants to be the next target. Can't blame them. I've seen what Delilah does to people who cross her. Lucinda reviewed the countersuit in her office. The smell of burnt coffee was becoming familiar, almost comforting. "They're trying to drown you in paper. Every motion costs you money to respond to. That's the strategy." "How much to fight this?" "All of it? $25,000, maybe more." I had 11 in savings. Lucinda saw me calculating. "We can fight smart. Focus on the fraud, not the nuisance claims. Make them defend the fake survey." She paused. "But we need that surveyor. Without Marcus Teague testifying, we're stuck proving negatives." I spent the next week trying to track him down. Called every surveying firm in Arizona. Left messages, sent emails, nothing. Guy vanished like morning fog, which made me more suspicious. People don't disappear unless they're running from something. Then things escalated. I woke up one morning to find "land thief" spray painted across my mailbox in bright orange. Took photos, filed a police report, painted over it. That night, someone cut my southern fence, the real fence, the one that actually belonged there. 40 cattle loose on the county road at 5 in the morning. Took 4 hours and 6 neighbors to round them up. One heifer got tangled in barbed wire. $800 vet bill. No witnesses, no evidence. But the timing was interesting. Same day Delilah's financial records were due to court. County received an anonymous complaint that afternoon about livestock on roadway endangering public safety. Demanded my ranch be declared a public nuisance. The complainant claimed to have video evidence. Never produced it, but the county had to investigate anyway. Liability concerns. I understood the position they were in. Didn't make it less infuriating. Delilah's attorney filed an emergency motion claiming HOA financial records were destroyed in an office flood. Requested 60-day extension to reconstruct. Lucinda objected. "Convenient timing, this is obstruction. Judge granted 30 days. Split decision. Small victory for Delilah, but it bought us time too. Turned out time was what we needed." Brenda, who'd been quietly digging through public records, found something. HOA used a third-party management company, Texas Association Services. They'd have duplicate financials. Lucinda subpoenaed them. They complied immediately. No loyalty to Delilah. The records arrived on a Thursday. I sat in Lucinda's office while she went through them, page by page. Her expression changed around page 40. "Garrett, look at this. $127,000 in administrative fees paid to Sunset Holdings LLC over 18 months. Contracts for vague consulting services. Special assessment collected $345,000. Only $89,000 actually spent on drainage work. The rest? Gone." I remembered what my father used to say about following the money. Most crimes aren't complicated, just well hidden. This wasn't hidden anymore. This was embezzlement, which meant this wasn't just civil court anymore. This was criminal. "We need to call the Attorney General's office," Lucinda said. My phone rang. Natalie. "Dad, I'm flying down this weekend. You need help." I looked at those financial statements spread across Lucinda's desk. Maybe I did. Natalie flew in that Friday. 28 years old, environmental lawyer, inherited her mother's sharp mind and my stubborn streak. We sat at my kitchen table surrounded by documents, and she went through everything with a legal pad and 3 colored highlighters. The smell of her takeout Thai food filled the kitchen. First time the house felt alive in months. "Dad, this is bigger than your fence. She's running a scam." She tapped the financial records. "If she's embezzling from the HOA, there are probably other violations." "Let me look at the original development permits." I pulled them from county files. She spent 2 hours cross-referencing permits against the approved plat. Found 9 deviations. Most were minor, landscaping shifted, signage moved, but 3 were significant. Drainage system discharged 15 feet closer to the creek than approved. Community pool built 8 feet inside the wetland buffer. Main entrance sign in county, right-of-way without encroachment permit. "These are environmental violations," Natalie said. "State jurisdiction. Maybe federal if the wetland's protected." I called Raymond Cho, 55, environmental compliance officer, worked together on a dozen projects, owed me a favor after I caught a survey error that would have cost his department $50,000. "Raymond, I need a routine inspection at Sunset Ridge. Suspected wetland buffer violations." "How suspected?" "Very." He showed up Tuesday with clipboard and measuring tape. "Found all 4 violations in 90 minutes. Issued notice of violation, 30 days to cure, then fines start at $25,000 per day. Sent courtesy copy to EPA. Federal system now." Week 6, Delilah requested a private meeting. We met at the diner on Main Street, public witnesses. She arrived with a checkbook, and that smile that never reached her eyes slid into the booth. Her perfume arrived 3 seconds before she did. "Garrett, we're both pragmatic people. This has gotten out of hand." I sipped coffee, waited. "I'm prepared to offer $425,000 for your ranch, 20% above market. Cash, close in 30 days. You walk away clean." "What about the fence?" "Once you sign, we'll survey properly. Correct mistakes. Water under the bridge." Like she was doing me a favor. Like she wasn't offering to buy stolen land with embezzled money. "And the homeowners you foreclosed on?" Her mask cracked. "They couldn't afford to live here." "That's not my problem." I dropped a 5 on the table, stood. "We're done." Her voice rose, loud enough for other diners to hear. "You're going to regret this. I have connections you can't imagine." I walked out. Next day, anonymous blog appeared. Corrupt county official abuses power. My name, position, home address. Claimed I was extorting homeowners by threatening permits. Shared across Nextdoor and Facebook within hours. 3 hate emails, 2 threatening voicemails. One genius informed me he knew where I lived. "Yeah, buddy. So does Google Maps. Appreciate the detective work." Delilah filed complaint with Texas Board of Professional Land Surveyors. Claimed I approved my own survey. Was retaliating against HOA, had financial interest in blocking development. Board had to investigate. Mandatory, 90 days minimum. My license was under review. That stain doesn't wash off easy even when you're innocent. I didn't respond publicly, let attorneys handle it, but I was exhausted. Lost 12 pounds, not sleeping. Travis Olson stopped by, retired sheriff, found me in the barn at 10 p.m. checking fence posts that didn't need checking. "Garrett, this woman isn't worth dying over." "I'm not dying, I'm fighting." Looks the same from here. He wasn't wrong. Hands shook holding coffee, but quitting meant betraying every generation before me. That night, white sedan on County Road, 3rd day running, driver photographing ranch, taking notes. I walked over, knocked on window. Guy claimed to be birdwatcher. At 9 p.m. in October. Right. I got his plate, ran it. Private investigation firm, Dallas. Delilah hired a PI. Lucinda filed motion alleging intimidation. Judge issued warning. Cease extrajudicial hostilities. Cold comfort when someone's destroying your life. I sold 15 heifers. Got $18,000, better than expected. Paid legal fees, had cushion. But second mortgage was looming on land Grandpa bought for $800 in 1923. Then Brenda called, late, her voice shaky. "Garrett, you need to get to the office, now." "What's wrong?" "I found something about Delilah. You're not going to believe this." I drove 90 the whole way. Brenda was in the archives, surrounded by tax records and property documents, looking like she'd seen a ghost. She doesn't just own one house in Sunset Ridge. What? She owns 11 properties, bought through an LLC, Sunset Holdings. Brenda spread the documents across the table. Purchase dates, foreclosure records, resale prices. She's been engineering foreclosures, buying homes cheap, flipping them for profit. She's made over $340,000. The fence wasn't about property lines. It was about forcing me out so she could expand her empire. My 240 acres would be phase 2 of Sunset Ridge, $1 million development. I'd been fighting the wrong battle. This wasn't personal. This was business. And she'd been playing this game long before I knew there was a board. I stared at the documents spread across the archive table. Tax records, foreclosure notices, LLC filings, 11 properties in Sunset Ridge, all owned by Sunset Holdings LLC, all registered to Delilah's second ex-husband's business address. 8 bought at pre-construction prices, 3 purchased at auction after HOA foreclosures. She wasn't just HOA president, she was running a real estate scheme using the HOA as her weapon. Brenda pulled up HOA meeting minutes on her laptop, public record, thank God. 6 months after she became president, she pushed through a special assessment, $4,800 per home for emergency drainage repairs. That's steep for drainage. Gets worse. 3 homeowners couldn't pay, fell behind on dues. HOA foreclosed within 90 days. She clicked through records. Young couple with a baby. Retired veteran named Frank Gibbons, single mother. Delilah's LLC was the only bidder at all 3 auctions. Bought them 30 to 40% below market, resold within 6 months for full price. I grabbed a calculator. $340,000 in profit. From families who thought they were buying the American dream. My father used to say most crimes aren't complicated, just well hidden. Follow the money and you'll find the truth. The money led straight to Delilah. There's more. Brenda pulled up a business registration from 15 years ago. The smell of old paper and binding glue filled the space between us. Remember Apex Survey Solutions, the dissolved company that did her survey? Disconnected number. Owner vanished. Marcus Teague, also known as Marcus Pritchard, Delilah's second ex-husband. Marriage certificate, divorce decree. And this, Delilah worked here. County Surveyor's office, 16 years ago. 6 months only, but she knows the system. Everything clicked. The fraudulent survey, the fake markers planted in concrete, the timing. She'd been planning this for over a year, maybe longer. Knew exactly which buttons to push, which forms to file, how to make theft look legitimate on paper. And my ranch wasn't personal. It was business. 240 acres adjacent to her development meant Phase 2 of Sunset Ridge. 70 more homes, millions in profit. The fence was just step 1. Make operations impossible, strangle me with legal fees, wait for desperation sale. I sat down hard. Dust motes floated in the lamplight. Building silent except for fluorescent hum. This isn't a property dispute. No, it's organized fraud. Brenda's voice was steady. Embezzlement, fabricated surveys, manipulated foreclosures. This is criminal. I called Lucinda. Midnight. She answered on second ring, voice groggy. This better be... Delilah owns 11 properties in Sunset Ridge through a shell company. She engineered foreclosures using illegal assessments, bought homes at auction, pocketed the difference. Felony theft. Silence. Then, I'm calling the Attorney General Monday morning. This is beyond civil court. If we prove this, every foreclosure gets reversed. I thought about Frank Gibbons, veteran who lost his home over $4,800 he didn't actually owe because the assessment was illegal in the first place. Young couple with baby, single mom, not victims of bad luck, victims of Delilah's scheme. I wasn't just defending my ranch anymore. I was the only person positioned to stop her from destroying another family. The pressure in my chest shifted, lighter somehow. My wife Marianne used to say, "You can't save everyone, but you save who you can." The weight of my own problems suddenly felt smaller compared to what those families lost. Frank Gibbons deserved his house back. That young couple deserved their nursery. The single mom deserved stability, and I had the documents to make it happen. Delilah thought she was fighting a stubborn rancher over 43 feet of land. She had no idea she'd just declared war on the one man who could read her entire playbook. Big mistake. Monday morning, Lucinda's office became war room. She'd already called the Texas Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. Investigator named Patricia Langford, 40-something, no nonsense, sounded like she'd prosecuted her own grandmother if the evidence was solid, agreed to review our case. Timeline, 4 to 6 weeks for preliminary investigation. We assembled the team. Natalie reviewed HOA bylaws, found 7 procedural violations in how Delilah's special assessment passed. Texas law requires 67% homeowner vote for assessments over $2,500. Delilah's passed with 14 votes out of 72 homes. Not even close to quorum. The assessment was void. Every foreclosure built on it was fraudulent. Brenda created a timeline connecting every document. Delilah had accessed county GIS system 23 times in past year. Public officials' access gets logged. She'd been scouting, planning. Brenda also found email chain where Delilah requested corrections to original plat map. I'd denied it properly. She'd tried going around me. Raymond Cho delivered environmental violations. 4 confirmed. Drainage, wetland buffer, Illegal fill, unpermitted signage, notice of violation issued, 30-day cure period, then fines at $25,000 per day. He sent copy to EPA. Federal record now. Those violations affected all 72 homes. County could revoke occupancy permits if not fixed. Residents would panic, blame HOA, blame Delilah. Exactly what we needed. Strategy took shape over burnt coffee and yellow legal pads. Three-pronged attack. First, legal challenge. Lucinda filed motion to dissolve foreclosures, subpoenaed HOA financials, requested forensic audit of Sunset Holdings LLC. Cost, $8,000. I paid $3. HOA Reform Coalition covered the rest. Second, regulatory hammer. Raymond's violations triggered mandatory county review. I recused myself officially, but my documentation was ironclad. Third, public exposure. Natalie contacted Jenna Morales, investigative reporter from statewide public radio. Won awards for corruption exposés. She was interested. Once legal filings went public, Jenna would run the story. But we needed more than paper. We needed people. I contacted 3 foreclosed homeowners. 2 agreed to testify. Third was Frank Gibbons, 68, retired veteran. We met at the diner. Same booth where Delilah offered her bribe. Felt right somehow. Frank's hands shook holding his coffee. I lost my home because I couldn't pay $4,800 I didn't owe. Assessment was illegal, never properly approved. Can I get it back? That's the plan. His eyes watered. Voice stayed steady, though. Military training runs deep. Then count me in. Whatever you need. Guy lost his house and he was thanking me for the chance to fight back. Made my fence problem feel pretty small. We prepared quietly over 2 weeks. I documented everything, made 3 backup sets, 1 with Lucinda, 1 in bank safe deposit, 1 with Natalie in Denver. If Delilah tried destroying evidence, we'd still have ammunition. I sold 15 heifers, $18,000 better than expected, paid legal fees, had cushion. Kept ranch running, no weakness showing. Then I made strategic move. Filed formal request with county, comprehensive review of Sunset Ridge Estates, compliance with original plat approval, public record. Delilah would see it within days. Calculated risk. She'd either retreat or overplay her hand. My money was on overplay. People like her don't do subtle when they're cornered. Late night, team gathered in my kitchen. Documents covered every surface. Printer had been running hours, hundreds of pages, weapons made of paper. Lucinda looked up from her notes, grinned. This is David versus Goliath stuff, but we've got the slingshot. I glanced at Big Jim's photo on the wall. Old man in his hat, standing in the pecan grove. He used to say, let the other guy make the mistakes. Stay patient, stay smart. We were ready. Natalie poured more coffee. Leftover Thai food smell, lemongrass and chili, hung in the air. Strange comfort in a house that had been too quiet too long. What happens when she sees the county review request? She panics. And then she makes mistakes. Big ones. I looked around the table. Small team. But we had something Delilah didn't. Truth that didn't need constant maintenance. Her whole operation was built on lies. Lies require upkeep, explanations, cover stories. Eventually they collapse. We just had to apply pressure and wait for the structure to crack. Raymond leaned back in his chair. How long you think before she does something stupid? Knowing her, 72 hours maximum. I was wrong. Took 48. I woke to my phone ringing at 5:30 a.m. Sheriff's deputy. Someone cut my southern fence and 40 cattle were loose on County Road 12. I threw on jeans, drove out in the pre-dawn dark. Cold air bit through my jacket. Found heifers scattered across 2 miles of asphalt, some in the ditch, one limping with barbed wire wrapped around her leg. Took 4 hours and 6 neighbors to round them up. The injured heifer needed a vet, $800 to stitch and medicate her. She'd live, but wouldn't be worth selling now. No witnesses, no tracks. But timing was cute, day before Delilah's financial records were due to Lucinda. That afternoon, county received anonymous complaint about livestock endangering public safety. Demanded my ranch be declared public nuisance. Complainant claimed video evidence. Never produced it. County had to investigate anyway. Liability concerns. 2 days later, Delilah's attorney filed emergency motion. HOA financial records destroyed in office flood. Requested 60-day extension to reconstruct. Lucinda's objection was 3 pages of professionally formatted rage. Convenient timing. This is obstruction. Judge granted 30 days instead of 60. Split decision, but it bought us time. Brenda discovered HOA used third-party management company, Texas Association Services. They'd have duplicate financials. Lucinda subpoenaed them. Company complied within 48 hours. No loyalty to Delilah, just self-preservation. Records arrived Thursday. Lucinda went through them, her coffee getting cold while she read. Around page 40, she stopped. Garrett, look. $127,000 in administrative fees paid to Sunset Holdings over 18 months. Vague consulting contracts. Special assessment collected $345,000, only $89,000 spent on actual drainage. Remaining $256,000 vanished into accounts we'd need forensic accountants to trace. The pattern was clear as glass. My father once explained how powerful HOA boards really are. In Texas, they can foreclose faster than banks, 90 days sometimes for unpaid assessments. Unlike mortgage foreclosures, you don't get surplus proceeds if your home sells above the debt. HOA takes everything. It's legal until someone proves it isn't. Most homeowners don't know their rights until they're signing eviction papers. Lucinda was already dialing Attorney General. This is felony theft. We're past civil court. Meanwhile, anonymous blog updated. Now claimed I was manipulating environmental inspections to harass innocent homeowners. County email got 47 messages in one day. Half supportive, half threats. One creative soul suggested I'd look good at the bottom of my own well. I forwarded that to the sheriff, who was probably getting tired of my calls. Delilah filed motion claiming harassment, said county review was retaliation, requested sanctions against me. Judge denied it, but the motion was the point. Make her look like victim, make me look like bully. I had to admire the commitment. She was drowning and still throwing punches. White sedan appeared again. Feed store parking lot while I bought supplies. Same PI, same camera. I walked straight to his window, knocked. He rolled it down, looking annoyed. How's the bird watching? Just doing my job. Following me to buy cattle feed? Tell Delilah she's wasting money. My life's boring. Took a photo of him photographing me. He didn't appreciate the irony. That evening, Natalie called from Denver, voice tight with excitement. Dad, Delilah's done this before. Done what? HOA fraud, Arizona 8 years ago. She was treasurer of an HOA in Scottsdale. Investigation started, charges filed, then witnesses recanted, charges dropped. But county records are still online if you dig. She sent PDFs, same pattern, special assessments, foreclosures, shell company purchases. She'd been perfecting this system for nearly a decade. We weren't her first victims. We were just the first ones who'd connected the dots and had resources to fight. I forwarded everything to Lucinda and Patricia Langford at AG's office. Added one-line note. Professional, not amateur. Has practice. Patricia called back within an hour. Mr. Hollins, this changes things. We're escalating to full criminal investigation. I'll need all your evidence, all your witnesses, and your patience. This'll take months. I've got time. Good, because she doesn't know we're coming yet. Let's keep it that way. Delilah's panic was showing. The calculated chess player from 6 weeks ago was gone. Now she was making reactive moves. Sabotage, PI surveillance, frivolous motions. Desperate people make sloppy mistakes. They leave trails. They trust the wrong people. They push too hard and expose themselves. I just had to keep pressure on and wait. The anonymous tip line would ring eventually. The management company employee would talk. The foreclosed homeowners would testify. The evidence would pile up until it crushed her. Big Jim used to say you don't need to chase a cornered animal, just hold the corner and let them panic themselves into exhaustion. Delilah was cornered now. She just didn't know the walls were closing. Next move was hers, and I had a feeling it'd be spectacular. Delilah's next move came 3 days after we subpoenaed the management company. She filed ethics complaint number 2, this time with State Licensing Board, claiming I'd falsified survey records going back 5 years. Alleged I'd been systematically approving faulty surveys to benefit ranchers over developers. Completely fabricated, but once filed, it became public. Local newspaper ran it. County surveyor faces second ethics probe. My phone lit up. Commissioners wanted explanations. Clients asked if their surveys were valid. One guy I'd worked with for 15 years called asking if he should hire someone else to re-verify his property lines. Doubt spreads faster than truth. She knew that. County Judge Martinez called me in again. This time his tone was different, less supportive, more concerned about liability. Garrett, maybe you should consider that leave now, just until this clears up. If I take leave, she wins, makes me look guilty. If you stay, you're a distraction. Politics, always politics. I stayed anyway. But the pressure was crushing. I'd lost 15 pounds. Wasn't sleeping more than 4 hours a night. Kept walking fence lines at 2 a.m. with a flashlight, checking for sabotage, finding nothing but my own paranoia. Travis stopped by again. Found me in the barn, organizing tools that were already organized. You're running on fumes. I'm fine. You're not. When's the last time you ate a real meal? Couldn't remember. He made me come to his house, his wife fed me pot roast, and I realized I'd been living on coffee and spite for 2 weeks. Not sustainable, but I couldn't stop, not when we were this close. Lucinda filed updated motion including the Arizona case history, requested expedited hearing based on pattern of fraud. Patricia Langford from AG's office called. They'd found 2 more victims in Arizona willing to testify. Delilah's ex-husband Marcus had surfaced too. Turned out he wanted immunity, was ready to testify she'd forced him to create fraudulent surveys. Whole thing was cracking open. Delilah sensed walls closing. She started making calls. I know because 3 county commissioners suddenly received visits from a Dallas lobbyist who just happened to represent several HOA management companies. Coincidence. The lobbyist suggested county might face liability if they selectively enforced regulations against homeowner associations. Translation: back off Delilah or we'll sue. 2 commissioners got nervous, started asking if maybe we were overreaching on the environmental violations. Raymond called me, voice tight. They're trying to kill the enforcement. Commissioner Weston wants to give Sunset Ridge 6 more months to cure violations. Can they do that? Commissioners set policy. If they want to extend deadlines, they can. Politics protecting money, tale as old as time. But we had one advantage. Jenna Morales had finished her investigation. Public radio story was scheduled to air in 4 days. Once that broke, commissioners would be too scared of public backlash to interfere. I just had to survive 4 more days. Easier said than done. Someone, probably Delilah, possibly her PI, started following me everywhere. Not the white sedan anymore. Different cars, gray truck one day, blue sedan the next, always staying 3 cars back. I'd drive to the feed store, they'd follow. County office, they'd follow. Started feeling like I was losing my mind. Was I being paranoid? Was there really someone there? I took photos, sent them to Lucinda. She sent them to the AG, building the harassment case. Then my truck got keyed. Long scratch down the driver's side, all the way through paint to metal. Cost to fix, $1,200 I didn't have. Filed police report. They said probably kids, maybe. Or maybe someone wanted me to know they could touch my stuff any time. Natalie extended her stay another week. She was worried about me. I could see it in her face. Dad, you need to take a breath. We've won. Documents are with the AG. Story's about to break. She's finished. She's not finished until she's charged. I was sitting at the kitchen table at midnight, reviewing documents for the 100th time, looking for anything we'd missed, any weakness she could exploit. Natalie put her hand on mine. You're not going to find anything. We have everything. Maybe she was right. But I'd underestimated Delilah before, wouldn't do it again. I kept preparing, made sure every witness knew when and where to testify, confirmed Jenna had all documents, double-checked that Frank and the other foreclosed homeowners had legal representation, triple-checked that environmental violations were documented with photos and measurements. This wasn't paranoia. This was thoroughness. Big Jim used to say the fight's not over until the other guy surrenders or the judge bangs the gavel. Delilah hadn't surrendered, and we hadn't seen a courtroom yet. Final battle was coming. I could feel it building like a thunderstorm on the horizon. Pressure dropping, air getting heavy, sky darkening. When it broke, it'd be loud. Emergency HOA meeting notice went out Thursday evening. Delilah called it. Agenda. Vote on urgent legal defense funding and bylaw amendments. She was making her last stand. Good, so was I. The community center was packed. 58 of 72 homeowners, unprecedented turnout. I wasn't a member, but Texas law makes HOA meetings open to public. I sat in back with Lucinda. Teresa Vance from county newspapers sat 3 rows up, notebook ready. Sheriff's deputy stood by door. I'd requested law enforcement presence, citing previous threats. Delilah didn't know Jenna Morales from public radio was outside in a van, recording everything for tomorrow's story. Meeting started at 7. Fluorescent lights buzzed. Coffee smell mixed with nervous sweat. Delilah stood at podium in designer athleisure, hair perfect, looking like she was about to sell wellness supplements instead of fight for her freedom. She ran through preliminary business fast. Minutes, vague treasurer report, then hit her agenda. Motion to approve $50,000 in emergency legal defense funding and amendments to recall procedures. $50,000 from homeowners already bled dry. The amendments would make removing board members nearly impossible. She was building a fortress. Frank Gibbons stood. Back straight, military bearing intact. Point of order. I want financial records before we vote. You're not a member anymore, Frank. That fake sympathy voice. I'm a guest, and I'm asking questions others want answered. Murmurs of agreement. Delilah's smile tightened like a guitar string about to snap. Financial records are available upon written request. I requested them 3 weeks ago. Got nothing. They were damaged in the office flood. We're reconstructing. What flood? Woman in fourth row stood. We're in a drought. Room stirred, whispers spreading. Delilah gripped podium, knuckles white. There was water damage, a pipe issue. Can we return to the vote? I stood. Every head turned. Delilah went pale. You're not a member. I'm an observer with public documents relevant to HOA finances. Her attorney jumped up. This is improper. I projected to back row. Mrs. Pritchard, how much did Sunset Holdings LLC receive from HOA funds in 18 months? That's confidential. $127,000, paid to a company you own, for services nobody can identify. I handed document stacks forward. They passed through crowd like contraband, papers rustling, room erupted, gasps, voices overlapping. How many properties does Sunset Holdings own here? Delilah banged gavel. This is harassment. 11 properties. Bought after foreclosures you engineered with illegal special assessments. Frank stood, voice shaking. I lost my home over that assessment. You're saying it was fraud? The assessment was legally, needed 67% approval. Got 19%. That's not legal. That's theft. Room exploded. Homeowners shouting. Delilah banging gavel like it would restore reality. Her attorney trying to quiet everyone. I stayed silent. Truth was doing fine without me. Lucinda walked in from back. Perfect timing. Every eye followed. Mrs. Pritchard, I'm serving you notice. Texas Attorney General has opened criminal investigation into embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. She handed Delilah the documents. Room went dead silent. Just air conditioning humming and one person's nervous cough. Delilah stared at papers like they were written in alien language. Her attorney whispered urgently. She shook her head, turned to crowd. This is a coordinated attack by a vindictive man who can't accept. Your survey was fake, I said. Created by your ex-husband's dissolved company. Survey markers were planted in concrete buckets instead of driven into ground. I can show you the photos if you'd like. Sometimes the most devastating thing you can do is stay calm while someone else falls apart. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. Woman in middle row stood. I motioned to remove Delilah Pritchard as president and board member immediately. Second, 5 voices. This is not proper procedure. Delilah's voice cracked. All in favor? Frank's voice cut clean. 56 hands, 2 abstentions, 0 opposed. HOA Secretary Carroll, terrified of Delilah for a year, stood, voice trembling but clear. Motion carries. You're removed effective immediately. Delilah stood frozen, gavel in hand, documents at her feet. Then she lost it. You people don't understand what I've done for this neighborhood. Property values are up because of me. That rancher is destroying everything we built because of a stupid fence. You stole from us. I want my money back. Delilah grabbed her purse, headed for exit. Homeowners parted like she was radioactive. At door, she stopped. I'll be back. With lawyers. Real lawyers. This isn't finished. But it was. She just couldn't see it yet. Deputy followed her outside, told her AG would be in touch. Don't leave Texas. I watched through window as she sat in her BMW for 30 seconds, staring at nothing, then drove away. Golf cart sat abandoned in parking lot, batteries probably dead by morning. I didn't celebrate. Shook hands with homeowners. New board, new bylaws making victims whole. You can do this. Frank grabbed my hand. I might get my house back. You will. Outside, Jenna grinned. Got everything. Story airs tomorrow at 7 a.m. I drove home. Fence still cut through my headlights. Didn't matter now. Delilah was finished. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive with sirens. Sometimes it's just 56 people finding their courage in a room that smells like burnt coffee. Jenna's story aired next morning at 7. I was feeding cattle when my phone started buzzing like a hornet's nest. Didn't stop for 2 hours. By noon, 3 stations had picked it up. By evening, statewide news. HOA president accused of systematic fraud. Delilah's photo everywhere. Not her yoga smile, her driver's license photo with harsh lighting and no filter. Reality looks different than Instagram. 2 weeks later, Texas AG filed charges. 3 counts embezzlement, 5 counts fraud, conspiracy, forgery. Bail at $75,000. She posted it by liquidating a rental property. Trial set for 8 months out. Her 11 Sunset Ridge properties went into receivership. Civil suits piled up, new HOA board, me, Frank, other foreclosed families. Her attorney bills probably cost more than my ranch. Karma's expensive. County voided the 3 foreclosures. Frank got his house back 31 days after the meeting. I helped him move furniture in. Neighbors who'd been silent during his eviction suddenly showed up to help. Guilt's a powerful motivator. Frank raised American flag on his porch, stepped back, tears on his face. Thought I'd die before seeing this again. You fought for it. That matters. He gripped my hand for 10 seconds, couldn't speak. Some moments don't need words. New HOA board sent formal apology letter signed by all 5 members. Agreed to remove fence, restore property line, pay $8,500 in damages. I accepted. Donated $3,500 to County Land Conservation Fund in Marianne's name. Fence came down in one day. Same crew that built it, which felt appropriate somehow. Full circle. Environmental violations got fixed within 28 days. New board worked with Raymond. Actually improved the development with proper drainage and native plants. EPA closed investigation. No fines. Turns out communities can solve problems when leadership isn't stealing from them. Wild concept. Both ethics complaints dismissed. County Judge Martinez apologized publicly, commended me at commission meeting. Standing ovation from people who doubted me 2 months earlier. Felt good, but better when Martinez announced new protocol. Annual development audits. System improving because someone forced it to. 3 months later, I testified at state capitol. Proposed HOA transparency legislation. Used Frank's case as example. Bill passed. Governor signed it. Won't save everyone, but it'll save some. Sometimes that's enough. Ranch recovered. Grass grew where fence had cut through. By spring, barely visible. Pecan Grove produced heavy that fall, 2,200 pounds. Gave bags to neighbors, sold rest at market, used $1,200 in profit to start Big Jim Holland's Agricultural Stewardship Scholarship. Annual award for students pursuing surveying, environmental science, agriculture. First recipient, Frank's granddaughter, future civil engineer. She cried. I might have too. Personal healing happened slower but steadier. Weight came back. Sleep returned. Natalie visited more, brought her fiancé. Good guy. I taught him to read survey transit on the exact spot where Delilah's fence used to stand. Land doesn't lie, I told him. People do. Land just waits for truth. Teresa Vance from the newspaper stopped by for follow-up story. We talked 3 hours on my porch, and when I offered dinner, leftover brisket, nothing fancy, she stayed. First time I'd enjoyed someone's company like that since Marianne died. No promises, no rush, just coffee and conversation and possibility. Year later, spring morning in Pecan Grove. White blossoms against blue sky, wind through leaves, that smell of growing things that means winter's over. Natalie and her fiancé visiting, ranch enduring like it had for 4 generations, like it would for 4 more. My phone buzzed. County office. Garrett, we've got a situation. City councilman built a pool house, says zoning doesn't apply to him. Can you review? I smiled. Send it over. Some people never learn. Lucky for honest folks, neither do I. Here's the thing. If you've got an HOA horror story or a neighbor who thought they were above the law, I want to hear it. Drop your story in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. Texas, California, Maine, anywhere. Let me know this reached you. If this story fired you up, if you believe in fighting back when someone tries to steal what's yours, subscribe to HOA Stories. Next week, they condemned my garage until the inspector found out I built half the town. Remember, document everything, find your allies, and never stop fighting for what's right. The system works when you force it to. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a councilman's permits to review.
That's a wrap for today's episode on HOA Stories. If you enjoyed watching Karma in action, smash that like button, comment your thoughts, and let us know if you've dealt with HOA madness too. Subscribe so you won't miss the next HOA meltdown we post.